In this video I'll be sharing with you guys about my life, about my personal life. Yeah, I missed my dad in the year 2017, February 2nd. It was around 11:30 in the night when my dad was sick, extremely sick. And I was with my dad in the sick bed. you know my dad at that stage sorry at that stage was extremely sick. You know what I mean? So like, my dad can't do anything for himself. My dad was no more flexible and no more supportive to himself at all. So I was close to my dad, very very close to my dad. So at that point, my dad was in a very bad and difficult situation with his illness. So that night I was sleeping with my dad. So I was the one close to my dad, and that night I decided to sleep with my dad. So imagine around 11:30, almost to 12 midnight. Everybody has sleep. So I was the only one close to dad, and dad can't talk back that. At that level, dad cannot talk anymore. You know, but I knew that my dad's situation was chronic, and I wasn't in peace anymore. So, at that moment, my dad was just managing to breathe. You know what I mean? So like, um, I was not, I was not, I did not go on my bed. I was sitting there while my dad was sleeping unconsciously. So, my dad, I had my dad took a kind of a breath, like, that kind of a sound. So like, I was like, okay, what is that? Like, and he took it back. He took an apnea, like, took a, he took it so deep. You know what? I did not take it back anymore. I did not breathe out anymore. I moved close. I was like, Dad, Dad. I hold my dad's hand. Like, I shake my dad. I said, Dad. My dad cannot respond to me. At that moment, I knew my dad was no more among the living. Imagine how hard was that for me to bear. And at that stage, I was just that was 2017. I was just 18 years, not up to 18 years. I was just like 17 years to 18 years. So I thank God to God that I'm very thankful to God, so thankful that I was able to like bear the pain. I was not a kind of confused on how to manage it, because my dad, sorry, my aunties, my mommy and my sisters were in the living room. People were in our house by then. So like, come to check him. So they slept in our home in that night. So like, I did not tell them because they were women. So like, I moved down to our family house. I went there. I talked to my dad's elder brother. That was my uncle. And I also moved down to tell one of our chief. At that stage, people were like surprised. What what the kind of a surprising thing to this kind of small kid? Like, are you the one to announce about your dad's death? Like, what will give you the guts? Like, how courageous are you? Like, because then my elder brothers were sleeping, and I was just like, as I walk out of the room, I just like go straight to our family house. And all I could do was that I told my uncle as well, as I said. So they came and confirmed that. They said I shouldn't talk that anymore. I should keep silent. It was a kind of a big message. They said that I should shut up. That I shouldn't say that. That I should keep silent. I should go and sleep. So I went back, but I knew my dad was already gone, and I have nothing to do. So back. Let me rewind back. Before my dad's death, probably what made me not really feel the pains anymore was that when my dad was sick, my dad confirmed to me that he was gonna die. Can you just imagine that? Just imagine you being with your dad, and your dad just, your dad being, sick, and one day just confirmed to you that, son, I'm gonna die. How can you just take that? So imagine me at that point, in that situation. I was like, Dad, what'd you say? I said, you won't understand. You're a kid. What? Dad, I said, Dad, I don't want to hear that from you. Why are you talking like that? Do you want to die? You know? So like, um, I never knew how hard, how difficult my dad was experiencing and what he was passing through, through his body, you know. So unless one blessed day, my dad was in the bathroom taking a shower. So, I was sitting in the living room somewhere in our veranda. So like my dad called at me. He called me Barakat. You know, that's my tribal name. I'm an African, so we use tribal name as well. So, he called me with the name Barakat. Yeah, I'm gonna write that name for you. That my love to call me with the name. I'm gonna really love it if he can call that. So he called me. I was like, okay, now, my dad called me. I was like, because the tone, you know what, the tone he used to call my name was a kind of sounding so urgent, was a kind of tone, that was a kind of voice that was sounding to be an urgent call. I was like, okay, what is going on bad? Like my dad being in the bathroom and now calling on me, like, what is wrong? And my dad is sick, and I know he barely got to the bathroom to take his shower. He managed to go there to do that, and I was like having some negative imagery in me. So anyways, I moved closer. I was knocking at the door. He said I should open and get in. I opened the door. My dad was in the bathroom. He was already done bathing. He put on his clothes as well. So I found him in the bathroom. He was like static. It's just like, it's a kind of static. You know what I mean? So my dad wasn't moving. Just paused there. Like, I said, Dad. I hold my dad. I grab him. So, Dad, what is wrong? Dad, talk to me. What is wrong? Is it your tummy? What is wrong with your stomach? My dad couldn't respond to me at all. I checked on my dad's face. All I could see was my dad with tears on him. Oh my God. In my life, I haven't seen my dad, even for once, crying. So that was so shocking to me. What kind of a hard pain? What kind of a, misery? What kind of a misery is going on with my dad right now? That got him on tears. You know that? So like, I was like, Dad, talk to me. What is wrong with you? Tell me. What hooked you? What is it? Is it you told me? Dad couldn't talk. I checked on my dad's face. It was tears. I was like, Dad, should I call the Uber? Should I call the Uber driver so that we could go to a clinic, to the hospital like that? My dad was like, no, that I can't understand. That was also his slang, that was always his slang. It was like, my son, you can't understand. I was like, Dad, what is he talking to me? I will understand. I will understand you. So like, my dad was like, he shook head, he was like, I will die. He said to me, Nuku. That was in my local language. He said Nuku, meaning I will die. Then gang, I had this kind of a banger in my nervous system. Inside my nervous system, I was like, gang, like what? What did you say? Did you say you will die? Dad, I don't expect to hear this again from you. I don't again expect to hear this from you. That you want to die. Do you want to die and leave us alone in the home? Dad, we need you in this family. Dad, please don't die. Why are you saying like that? Dad, it will be well. You will soon get fine. Like, you will heal. You will heal in Jesus' name. Like, I was like wishing my dad well. I was not ready to even take the pants. And I was never ready to be a fatherless boy. I wasn't ready to be fatherless. Man, you know that? So my dad was like, I won't understand. That he know that he will die. My dad was like, he stick to what he was saying. A breath, I took a kind of a deep breath. I took my dad back inside the room. My dad was just like on tears. So that evening we took my dad to the hospital. We took my dad to the hospital. We got on some scanning and we got on some tests like that, some blood test, some they call it the is it a cultural test and the general is it the general test or I don't just know. Yeah, I think so. We do everything as well, but the illness was just confirmed to be ulcer. Yeah, it was confirmed to be chronic. But I was so surprised when I saw crying like this. Okay, if it is ulcer, then I was like, okay, no problems. I believe that my dad will get fine. From that sickness, things become too hard. My dad's illness become too serious, like to the level I can't just, everybody was there was a level where everybody almost become, oh my god, hopeless. My dad was no more moving, like just my dad was just like statical on the bed, on the sick bed. You know what I mean? That my dad was just like not moving for over 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Just like dead, but still breathing. You know what I mean? Just breathing. You know, it was like just dumb. On the sick bed. My dad, we do everything with my dad. We clean him. He couldn't do anything for himself. My dad was just like every day go on my tears. Is this my dad? My dad cannot do anything for himself any longer. Is it true that my dad has told me before? My dad said to me he would die. Is this gonna be true? Like I always pray for my dad every day. Pray to God that may He heal my dad. I believe and I trust that my dad will soon get well and will be fine. I pray to God that whatever is the source, whatever illness is going on rough with the health of my dad, it shall be fine with my dad. Nothing shall come to take my dad down. All these kind of good wishes. I'll pray and I fast. I go so deep. So hoping and believing that never would my dad die. It wasn't just believable that this come to pass, like this really come to happen. My dad finally died. My dad finally died. And now this is the end of my story.